Picture this: 66 million years ago, when the last dinosaurs roamed the Earth, the same pale disk that hangs in our sky tonight was already there, silently watching. The moon, our constant companion through ice ages and extinctions, through the rise and fall of species, through humanity's first trembling steps into consciousness. Tonight, as you lie beneath that same ancient light, imagine the countless generations who have gazed upward at this celestial mystery. From the first humans who painted lunar phases on cave walls to the pharaohs who built pyramids aligned with its cycles, the moon has been humanity's most persistent teacher, timekeeper, and source of wonder in the velvet darkness of prehistoric nights. When fire was humanity's only defense against the unknown, the moon offered something revolutionary: predictability in chaos. Unlike the sun's blinding certainty or the stars' distant indifference, the moon revealed itself slowly, intimately. It waxed and waned like a cosmic heartbeat, promising that even in the darkest nights, light would return. Ancient peoples didn't simply observe the moon, they conversed with it. They tracked its moods across 29.5 days, noting how it swelled from a silver crescent to a full pearl, then diminished back to shadow. This wasn't mere astronomy. It was the world's first universal language, spoken in silver light across continents and cultures. The Babylonians called it Sin, the keeper of oaths. The Greeks saw Selene driving her silver chariot across the heavens. To the Maya, it was Ixchel, the grandmother of the cosmos. Yet beneath these different names lay the same profound recognition. This luminous wanderer held power over the rhythms of life itself. But for ancient civilizations, the moon was not just a light in the sky. It was a ruler of destiny. Long before humans invented clocks or calendars, the moon was already teaching time. In the fertile crescents of Mesopotamia, where civilization first took root, farmers discovered that the moon's phases perfectly predicted the flooding of rivers, the migration of animals, and the optimal moments for planting their crops. The earliest lunar calendar, carved into bone by Ice Age hunters 37,000 years ago, reveals humanity's ancient obsession with tracking time through moonlight. These weren't primitive scratches. They were sophisticated calculations that allowed nomadic peoples to predict seasonal changes months in advance. In ancient China, the lunar calendar became so integral to daily life that even today, billions of people still celebrate the new year according to the moon's ancient rhythm. Chinese astronomers discovered that 12 lunar months created a year of 354 days, requiring careful adjustment to stay synchronized with the solar seasons. This cosmic mathematics wasn't abstract theory. It determined when to plant rice, when to harvest silk, and when to prepare for winter's arrival. The Maya took lunar timekeeping to breathtaking heights of precision. Their astronomers, working from stone observatories hidden in jungle pyramids, calculated the lunar month to within seconds of modern measurements. They understood that 405 lunar months equaled exactly 11,960 days, a calculation so precise it wouldn't be matched in Europe for another 1,000 years. But the moon's influence on time ran deeper than mere measurement. In ancient Egypt, the lunar calendar determined when the Nile would flood, bringing life-giving silt to the desert. Farmers watched the moon's phases like a cosmic clock, knowing that the new moon of summer meant the river's rise was imminent. This wasn't superstition, it was survival science written in silver light. Native American tribes across the continent named each full moon for the activities it governed. The wolf moon of January, when packs howled through frozen forests. The harvest moon of autumn, when golden light extended working hours for gathering grain. The cold moon of December, when winter's grip tightened on the land. The moon didn't just measure time, it created rhythm. Human societies learned to pulse with lunar cycles, structuring festivals, markets, and ceremonies around the predictable dance of light and shadow. The concept of the month itself comes from moon, revealing how deeply lunar cycles shaped our ancestors' understanding of time's passage. Yet the moon was more than a calendar. It was a god, a storyteller, and a guardian of the night. In the realm of human imagination, the moon transformed from a distant celestial body into a living, breathing character in the greatest stories ever told. Across every culture, the moon acquired faces, personalities. and powers that reflected humanity's deepest hopes and fears. The ancient Greeks saw the moon as Artemis, the silver-crowned huntress who protected women in childbirth and punished those who violated nature's laws. Her Roman counterpart, Diana, was equally fierce, a goddess who could bring fertility or barrenness with a glance. These weren't abstract deities dwelling in distant heavens. They were active participants in daily life, their moods reflected in the moon's changing face. In Egypt, the moon god Thoth recorded the deeds of the living and the dead, his ibis head crowned with a lunar crescent. Beside him stood Khonsu, the traveler who crossed the night sky to heal the sick and drive away evil spirits. Egyptian mothers would hold their babies up to moonlight, believing its rays carried divine protection. Hindu mythology gifted the moon a tragic romance. Soma, the moon god, fell in love with all 27 daughters of the Star King, but showed favoritism to Rohini. As punishment, his father-in-law cursed him to fade away, only to be restored by Shiva's mercy, explaining why the moon waxes and wanes in endless cycles of loss and renewal. Japan's Shinto tradition tells of Tsukuyami, the moon god who ruled the night realm with quiet dignity. Unlike his sister Amaterasu, the sun goddess, Tsukuyami governed through gentle influence rather than blazing command. Japanese poets wrote of Tsukimi, moon-viewing parties where nobles would gather to compose verses inspired by lunar beauty. Believing that moonlight enhanced creativity and wisdom, the Norse saw the moon as Mani, a gentle god pursued across the sky by a wolf that would eventually devour him during Ragnarok. This cosmic chase explained the moon's movement and gave meaning to lunar eclipses, moments when the wolf's jaws temporarily caught their prey. In the Americas, the Inca worshipped Mama Quilla, the moon mother who protected women and marriage. Her silver tears were believed to fall as dew, nourishing the high-altitude crops that sustained their mountain empire. When Spanish conquistadors destroyed her temples, they unknowingly severed connections between people and cosmos that had endured for millennia. These myths weren't mere entertainment. They were sophisticated psychological frameworks that helped ancient peoples understand their place in the universe. The moon's predictable phases became metaphors for life, death, and rebirth. Its gentle light represented feminine wisdom, intuition, and the hidden knowledge that emerges in darkness. But while myths gave the moon a face and a name, science and architecture gave it structure and power. The marriage between lunar observation and architectural achievement created some of humanity's most enduring monuments. Ancient builders weren't content to simply worship the moon. They captured its movements in stone, creating temples and observatories that functioned as cosmic calendars carved from granite and limestone. Stonehenge, that mysterious ring of standing stones on England's Salisbury Plain, reveals the sophistication of Neolithic lunar astronomy. While most people know it aligns with the summer solstice, fewer realize that its primary purpose may have been tracking the moon's complex 18-year cycle. The heel stone and station stones create sight lines that perfectly frame the moon's most northerly and southerly rising points, a celestial choreography frozen in 5,000-year-old stone. In the jungles of Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, Maya astronomers built El Caracol at Chichen Itza, a circular observatory whose windows align with the moon's maximum declination points. During specific lunar cycles, moonlight would stream through these precisely positioned openings, illuminating interior chambers where priest astronomers conducted their calculations. The Maya understood that the moon's orbit tilted and wobbled in predictable patterns, allowing them to predict eclipses decades in advance. Egypt's Abu Simbel presents perhaps the most dramatic example of lunar architecture. While the temple's solar alignment draws millions of tourists, its lunar connections remain largely hidden. The inner sanctuary contains chambers that were illuminated by moonlight during specific phases, creating a cosmic calendar that helped priests time religious festivals and agricultural activities along the Nile. The Göbekli Circle in Germany, older than Stonehenge by several centuries, demonstrates that lunar observation was central to European civilization's earliest development. This wooden henge features gates positioned to frame the moon during its extreme positions, allowing Neolithic peoples to predict seasonal changes with remarkable accuracy. In Newgrange, Ireland's ancient passage tomb, the winter solstice sunrise is famous, but lunar alignments were equally important. During the major lunar standstill, which occurs every 18.6 years, moonlight penetrates the passage in the same way sunlight does during the winter solstice, suggesting that ancient Irish peoples understood both solar and lunar cycles as complementary forces. These monuments weren't built by primitive peoples making lucky guesses. They required generations of careful observation, mathematical calculation, and architectural precision. The builders understood that the moon's movements followed complex patterns that repeated over decades, and they embedded this knowledge in structures designed to last millennia. The Antikythera mechanism, an ancient Greek computer recovered from a shipwreck, contains bronze gears specifically designed to track lunar phases and predict eclipses. This pocket-sized device, more complex than any medieval clockwork, reveals that understanding lunar mechanics was considered essential knowledge for educated citizens of the classical world. And when the moon disappeared from the sky during eclipses, fear and prophecy rippled through the world. Imagine the terror that gripped ancient peoples when the moon, their reliable timekeeper, their gentle night companion, suddenly began to bleed. As Earth's shadow crept across the lunar surface, transforming silver light into copper-red darkness. Civilizations from Babylon to Beijing interpreted this celestial drama as cosmic warfare. The Babylonians developed the most sophisticated eclipse prediction system in the ancient world, not from idle curiosity, but from existential necessity. They believed that lunar eclipses signaled attacks by 7 demons who sought to devour the moon god Sin. Their astronomical texts, written in cuneiform on clay tablets, record centuries of eclipse observations with mathematical precision that rivals modern calculations. Chinese emperors lived in particular dread of lunar eclipses. According to ancient belief, a celestial dragon was devouring the moon, threatening the cosmic order that legitimized imperial rule. The emperor's astronomers were under such pressure to predict eclipses that failure could result in execution. During eclipses, entire populations would bang pots, ring bells, and shoot arrows into the sky to frighten away the dragon and restore the moon to safety. The Inca saw lunar eclipses as evidence that a jaguar was attacking Mama Quilla, the moon goddess. Warriors would shake their spears at the sky and make their dogs howl to help frighten the cosmic predator. The red color of the eclipsed moon was interpreted as the goddess's blood, requiring immediate ritual intervention to heal her wounds. Norse mythology described eclipses as moments when the wolf's skull and Hati temporarily caught their celestial prey. These cosmic hunts would ultimately succeed during Ragnarok, the twilight of the gods, when eternal darkness would consume the world. Viking raids were sometimes timed to coincide with lunar eclipses, believing that the cosmic chaos above would spread confusion among their enemies. In ancient Greece, the historian Thucydides recorded how a lunar eclipse demoralized Athenian forces during the Peloponnesian War, convincing superstitious generals to delay crucial military operations. Yet the same Greeks who feared eclipses also produced Aristarchus of Samos, who used lunar eclipse observations to calculate the relative sizes of Earth, Moon, and Sun with remarkable accuracy. The Maya approached eclipses with characteristic mathematical precision, developing eclipse tables that could predict lunar eclipses for centuries in advance. Yet even their sophisticated astronomers interpreted these events as battles between cosmic forces, requiring elaborate ceremonies to restore universal balance. Perhaps most remarkably, Christopher Columbus exploited eclipse fears during his 4th voyage to the Americas. Stranded in Jamaica and facing hostile relations with local peoples, Columbus consulted his astronomical tables and predicted the lunar eclipse of February 29, 1504. When the moon began to darken exactly as he had foretold, the odd islanders provided supplies and assistance, believing the foreign visitor commanded celestial powers. These eclipse responses reveal a crucial truth about ancient civilizations. Their astronomical knowledge existed alongside, not instead of, their mythological worldviews. The same Babylonian scribes who could predict eclipses to the hour still performed protective rituals during the actual events. If the moon could foretell disaster, could it also heal and protect? In the ancient world's understanding, The same lunar forces that could bring terror through eclipses also carried profound healing power. The moon's gentle light was seen as medicine itself, capable of drawing out illness, enhancing fertility, and protecting against evil forces. Roman physicians prescribed lunation therapy, timing medical treatments to coincide with specific lunar phases. They believed that the moon's waxing phase promoted healing and growth, making it ideal for treating wounds and encouraging recovery. Conversely, the waning moon was thought to draw out infections and reduce swellings, leading to the practice of scheduling surgeries during the lunar decline. Ancient Egyptian medical papyri describe elaborate moonlight rituals for treating mental illness, fever, and reproductive disorders. Patients would be placed in temple courtyards during the full moon, while priests recited healing incantations. The goddess Isis, often depicted with lunar crescents, was invoked as both healer and protector, her power flowing through moonbeams into suffering bodies. The connection between lunar cycles and women's reproductive health was universally recognized across ancient cultures. The average 29-day lunar cycle closely matched human menstrual cycles, leading to the widespread belief that women's bodies were inherently connected to lunar rhythms. This wasn't mere superstition. Modern research has revealed that before artificial lighting, many women's cycles naturally synchronized with lunar phases. Native American healing traditions incorporated lunar timing into herbal medicine preparation. Cherokee healers would gather medicinal plants during specific moon phases, believing that lunar energy concentrated healing properties in roots, leaves, and bark. The full moon was considered optimal for collecting plants that stimulated growth and vitality, while the dark moon was preferred for harvesting herbs that removed toxins or calmed excessive energy. In medieval Europe, the doctrine of signatures taught that lunar-influenced plants, those with white flowers, heart-shaped leaves, or nocturnal blooming patterns, contained moonlight's healing essence. Moonwort, lunaria, and white poppy were prescribed for everything from madness to epilepsy, conditions believed to fluctuate with lunar cycles. Ayurvedic medicine in ancient India recognized the moon as a cooling, calming force that balanced the fire element in human constitution. Treatments involving lunar-charged water, moonstone gems, and nighttime meditation were prescribed for conditions involving excess heat, inflammation, or emotional agitation. The ancient Greeks developed an entire therapeutic system around lunar influence. Hippocrates, the father of medicine, taught that human bodies contain the same ratio of fluids as the Earth's relationship to its oceans. Just as the moon controlled tides, it was believed to influence bodily fluids, blood, lymph, and cerebrospinal fluid, affecting everything from mood to immunity. Chinese traditional medicine incorporated lunar timing into acupuncture treatments, with certain meridians believed to be most receptive during specific moon phases. The flow of qi, or life energy, was thought to ebb and flow in harmony with lunar cycles, making timing crucial for therapeutic effectiveness. These healing traditions shared a common understanding. The moon's influence operated through subtle energies that connected human bodies to cosmic rhythms. Whether through actual gravitational effects on bodily fluids or through the psychological comfort of ritual timing, lunar healing provided both physical and spiritual medicine for ancient peoples. But the moon's greatest influence was not only spiritual, it guided survival itself. The survival of every ancient civilization depended on agriculture, and agriculture depended on understanding the moon's subtle influence over plant growth, soil moisture, and the behavior of both crops and pests. This wasn't folklore. It was farming science developed through millennia of careful observation. In ancient Mesopotamia, the world's first farmers discovered that planting by lunar phases dramatically affected crop yields. Clay tablets from Babylon record detailed instructions for timing agricultural activities according to the moon's position, phase, and constellation. Root vegetables were planted during the dark moon, when lunar gravity was believed to draw energy downward into the soil. Leafy crops were sown during the waxing moon, when rising lunar energy was thought to promote upward growth. The Egyptians built their entire agricultural system around the moon's relationship with the Nile's flood cycle. The heliacal rising of Sirius, combined with specific lunar phases, predicted the river's inundation with precision that determined whether Egypt would prosper or starve. Farmers planted their seeds in the mud left by receding floods, timing this crucial activity to lunar phases that would maximize germination rates. Chinese agricultural texts dating back 4,000 years describe the practice of lunar farming in extraordinary detail. The lunar agricultural calendar specified which moon phases favored planting different crops, when to irrigate, and when to harvest for maximum nutritional content and storage life. Rice paddies were flooded according to lunar timing, with farmers believing that moon-influenced water produced stronger, more productive plants. The Maya developed perhaps the most sophisticated agricultural astronomy in the ancient world, creating detailed tables that correlated lunar phases with rainfall patterns, insect behavior, and crop diseases. Their raised field systems in the Yucatan were designed to take advantage of lunar influences on groundwater levels, creating microclimates that remained productive even during drought years. Native American Three Sisters agriculture, corn, beans, and squash grown together, incorporated lunar timing into every aspect of cultivation. The Hopi planted corn kernels during the new moon, believing that seeds would draw in lunar energy as they germinated. Beans were planted during the first quarter moon, when vines were thought to reach upward toward increasing light. Squash was sown during the full moon, when the plant's spreading energy was believed to be at its peak. European medieval monasteries preserved ancient lunar farming wisdom through centuries of Dark Age chaos. Monastery gardens were planted according to lunar calendars that traced their origins to Roman agricultural texts, which in turn drew from Greek and Egyptian sources. These monks understood that certain moon phases promoted seed germination, while others favored transplanting, pruning, or harvesting. The biodynamic farming movement of the 20th century attempted to revive these ancient practices, and modern research has begun to validate some lunar farming effects. Studies have found that lunar phases may influence plant metabolism through gravitational effects on cellular water content, while lunar timing of planting can affect pest behavior and soil microbiology. Ancient farmers also used the moon to predict weather patterns crucial for agricultural success. A ring around the moon indicated approaching storms within 24 to 48 hours, a phenomenon caused by ice crystals and high cirrus clouds that modern meteorology confirms as an accurate short-term weather predictor. And yet, some civilizations looked even deeper, using the moon to unravel the mysteries of the cosmos itself. The moon served as humanity's first astronomical instrument, a cosmic laboratory hanging in the night sky that taught our ancestors the fundamental principles of celestial mechanics. Through careful observation of the moon's movements, ancient astronomers unlocked secrets of space and time that wouldn't be rediscovered in Europe until the Renaissance. Babylonian astronomer priests, working from ziggurats that served as both temples and observatories, used the moon to create the first accurate star catalogs. By tracking which stars the moon passed near during its monthly journey, they mapped the celestial sphere with precision that astounded later Greek scholars. Their lunar observations revealed that stars maintained fixed positions relative to each other, while the moon, planets, and sun wandered against this stellar backdrop. The Greek astronomer Hipparchus used careful measurements of the moon's position against background stars to discover the precession of the equinoxes, the slow wobble of Earth's axis that causes star patterns to shift over centuries. This discovery, made possible only through lunar observations, revealed that the cosmos operated on timescales far beyond human experience. Ancient Chinese astronomers used the moon as a measuring tool to calculate the distances and sizes of celestial objects. By timing how long it took for the moon to pass behind stars during occultations, they could determine stellar sizes. During lunar eclipses, they measured how Earth's shadow curved across the moon's surface, providing evidence that Earth itself was spherical. The Greek astronomer Aristarchus used lunar eclipse observations to calculate the relative sizes of Earth, Moon, and Sunday. By measuring the duration of lunar eclipses and the size of Earth's shadow on the Moon, he determined that the Sun was much larger than Earth, a discovery that led him to propose the first heliocentric model of the solar system. Nearly 2,000 years before Copernicus, Mesopotamian mathematicians used the moon's predictable cycles to develop sophisticated mathematical systems for describing periodic phenomena. The base 60 number system we still use for measuring time and angles originated from Babylonian calculations of lunar and planetary cycles. Their ability to predict eclipses using mathematical models rather than mythological explanations represents humanity's first step toward modern scientific method. The Maya created lunar tables of extraordinary accuracy, calculating the length of the lunar month to within seconds of modern measurements. Their Dresden Codex contains eclipse prediction tables that remained accurate for centuries, demonstrating a level of mathematical sophistication that rivaled anything in the Old World. Islamic astronomers of the medieval period used lunar observations to refine Greek astronomical models and develop new instruments for celestial measurement. The astrolabe, that masterpiece of medieval technology, incorporated lunar calculations that allowed travelers to determine their latitude and the time of night using moon positions. Ancient peoples also discovered that the moon's gravitational influence created predictable tidal patterns that could be used for navigation and timekeeping. Polynesian navigators used their knowledge of lunar tides to plan oceanic voyages across thousands of miles of open water, reaching remote islands through dead reckoning techniques that incorporated both stellar and lunar navigation. The connection between lunar phases and tidal patterns led to humanity's first understanding of action at a distance forces. Long before Newton formulated his law of universal gravitation, ancient coastal peoples understood that the moon's position determined when high and low tides would occur. Even though no visible connection existed between the distant moon and nearby waters, the moon was science and spirit, ruler and companion. But what legacy of its ancient power remains with us today? As you drift towards sleep beneath tonight's moon, consider this remarkable truth. The same lunar rhythms that guided your ancestors through millennia of darkness continue to shape our modern world in ways both obvious and hidden. The calendar on your smartphone still bears the fingerprints of ancient lunar observations. Our 7-day week originated from Babylonian lunar quarters. The months that organize our modern lives take their names from Roman lunar deities. January from Janus, the two-faced god who looked both backward and forward. March from Mars, whose warfare was timed to lunar cycles. Major religious festivals across the globe still pulse to ancient lunar heartbeats. Easter's date is calculated using a formula that traces back to the Council of Nicaea in 325 CE, falling on the first Sunday after the first full moon following the spring equinox. Ramadan follows the lunar calendar so precisely that it cycles through all seasons over a 33-year period. Chinese New Year, Diwali, Passover, billions of people worldwide still mark their most sacred celebrations according to the moon's ancient dance. The financial markets that drive our global economy operate within temporal structures inherited from lunar calendars. The concept of months, quarters, and fiscal years all derive from humanity's earliest attempts to measure time through moonlight. Even the word month itself comes from moon, revealing how deeply lunar cycles penetrated human consciousness. Modern medicine continues to investigate connections that ancient healers took for granted. Hospital emergency rooms report statistical variations in admission rates during full moons, though the mechanisms remain scientifically controversial. Surgical outcomes, blood coagulation rates, and even the effectiveness of certain medications show subtle correlations with lunar phases that researchers are only beginning to understand. Agricultural communities worldwide maintain planting calendars that blend ancient lunar wisdom with modern scientific knowledge. Biodynamic farming, now practiced across 6 continents, explicitly incorporates lunar timing into cultivation decisions. Winemakers time their harvests to lunar cycles, believing that grape sugar content and flavor concentration peak during specific moon phases. The space age has transformed humanity's relationship with the moon from mystical to technological. Yet the ancient sense of wonder persists. The Apollo missions that carried humans to the lunar surface fulfilled dreams that shamans and astronomers had harbored for thousands of years. Neil Armstrong's first steps on the moon represented not just a technological achievement, but the culmination of humanity's longest love affair. Today, as private companies and national space agencies plan permanent lunar colonies, we stand on the threshold of becoming a two-world species. The moon that once served as humanity's distant timekeeper may soon become our launching platform to the stars. Ancient Mayan astronomers who calculated lunar eclipses from jungle observatories could never have imagined their intellectual descendants planning cities beneath the same lunar peaks they studied. Yet something profound may be lost as we transition from lunar observers to lunar inhabitants. For 50,000 years, humans have looked up at the moon with wonder, using its cycles to measure time, predict seasons, and find meaning in darkness. When we finally establish permanent settlements on the lunar surface, future generations may look back at Earth rising over their horizon, reversing the ancient relationship that shaped human consciousness. The tidal forces that move our oceans continue their eternal dance, indifferent to human technology. The moon still pulls at the waters in our bodies, maintaining connections to cosmic rhythms that preceded our species and will outlast our civilizations. In our blood, in our dreams, in the deepest structures of our unconscious minds, we remain children of the moon. Perhaps, just as ancient civilizations looked upward in awe, we too may rediscover our destiny written in moonlight. Tonight, as lunar rays stream through your window, you participate in humanity's oldest ritual, the nightly communion between Earth and Moon that has continued unbroken since consciousness first stirred in human minds.